Hi everyone, Eugene Sachs here with another review from GameCritics.com. The Crusades were a dark time in man's history, and Cecile, a cleric of Sinwell, has returned home to put that particular horror behind him. However, his home is a city rife with sin and plague, something just as terrible as what he tried to escape. In talking with Master Ulrich of the local church, he's told he must complete one final quest. In order to save the town, he must purge all its sin, though not by preaching the good word, but instead by entering into people's minds and physically removing it. Saga of Sins is an action run-and-gun where players control Cecile as he dives into the minds of sinners to bring the town, and hopefully the world, back from the brink of hell. Players will run, jump, and dash their way to victory by shooting manifestations of sin within the minds of the townsfolk. When he jumps into someone's psyche, Cecile is turned into a transforming creature, swapping between werewolf, griffin, or gargoyle, that give him powers to fight. Cecile can switch between forms at will once they're unlocked, and as players progress, they will earn money they can donate to the church to gain increased power, more health, or upgrades. Each sin has its own style of world. Fury is dark and filled with fire and lava, but Gluttony is filled with giant pigs eating more than their fill. Some common enemies populate all levels, but the level theming is also applied to many foes as well. The Fury levels I mentioned have fiery abominations chasing the player, whereas peacocks shooting golden eggs can be found in Pride. Some worlds will also have special effects, like sloth levels slowing the player down, or losing gold when taking hits in greed-themed places. Conceptually, everything is on point. The boss fights, though, are where Saga of Sins really shines. In run-and-gun titles, bosses often amount to finding a weak point and learning how to dodge their attack. That's not the case here, though. Each boss fight has its own unique flair. One may be a standard shoot it until it's dead, but another may be a chase sequence where players have to merely survive. The best of them is one where I didn't fight a boss so much as fight the level itself to complete the fight. While looking good and offering uniquely clever theming is all well and good, I will say that there's not a lot of depth here. Saga of Sins doesn't require the player to master the different creatures that Cecile can become, and I only switched between the monster forms when I absolutely needed a specific power. For example, there are flammable obstacles that hide treasures, which can only be burnt by the gargoyle form. The griffin form is only necessary to climb certain walls. Neither of these forms were as good as the basic werewolf form in combat, even though Saga of Sins wants players to spend resources, upgrade their abilities of the other forms. It just didn't feel worth it, and despite a grand total of 4 creatures to choose from, I still wish there was a bit more to it. Also, the voice acting didn't sit too well with me. The dialogue feels forced and emotionless, and I have no idea what kind of accent Cecile's voice actor was going for.
I longed eagerly for the day of my return, but this is not the home I once knew.
Overall, Saga of Sins ends up being a well-themed run-and-gun platformer, and it executes well enough. The difficulty curve is pretty forgiving, and the campaign doesn't hang around any longer than it needs to, so getting stale is never an issue. While I wanted more mechanically, the visuals and concepts alone were enough to keep me interested enough to see it through till the end, and that's not something I can say about every game. For me, Saga of Sins gets 6.5 apples of sin out of 10.